It's bowl season, coming at you with my second SEC bowl game preview, the Liberty Bowl. Arkansas Razorbacks versus the Kansas Jayhawks. I'm going to give you the full breakdown and prediction right here on the SEC Recap Podcast. You're listening to the SEC Recap Podcast. I am your host, Ben Warren. If you're joining in audio form from Google or Apple or Spotify, don't hit pause. Don't stop what you're doing. Keep it right on rolling, but go and leave us a rating and review. It helps me out so much. Helps me grow the show, get exposure to more SEC football and basketball fans. And if you're joining me on YouTube again, great to see you back here. Thank you so much. I've had a surge of YouTube activity, which I'm super excited about. A few more subscribers showing up, more views, more engagement, more likes, more comments. By the way, love interacting with you guys in the comments of my videos. That's why I always ask for your score predictions. Love hearing what you have to say. Sometimes people don't have nice things to say. That's okay too. I don't mind. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not on the internet to fight or get into it with people. I'll usually just say something like, thanks for watching, because I do appreciate you watching, even if you don't agree with what I say. But yeah, comment, engage, like. If you're new here or you've been here a couple of times and you haven't subbed yet, sub to the channel. Appreciate that. Hit that thumbs up. I'd love to get 5 to 10 likes on every video, and I'm on the road to 100 subscribers. You guys make that happen, and I'm eternally grateful. No more wasting time. Let's get into the matchup. Arkansas Razorbacks, Kansas Jayhawks. This is December 28th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, Memphis, Tennessee, near my hometown, nearby my old stomping grounds. Very familiar with the Memphis area. Didn't grow up there, but growing up, we had the Tennessee Vols and the Memphis Tigers, and that was it. I chose the Tennessee Vols, by the way. Don't at me. Not here to talk about them today. We're talking about Arkansas and Kansas. If you're a Kansas fan and you're joining us, thanks so much for being here. I'm not exclusive to SEC. I love having fans from other conferences join for these previews. If I misspeak, if I say something that's wrong, don't get mad at me. Don't hate me. You can just, let me know in the comments and I'll update or correct. Appreciate you guys being here. The drought's over. Kansas, you're back in a bowl game for the first time since 2008. Even better, for the first time since 1906, Kansas and Arkansas will meet on the gridiron. Even better, just the cherry on top of all of this, I think, is this quarterback matchup. Jalen Daniels, KJ Jefferson. I mean, I don't think it gets any better than this. I think this is one of the most underrated matchups we're going to have in the bowls this season. Hope I'm not exaggerating or being hyperbolic. Those two guys, I think, should make for a really, really fun game. I know both teams didn't finish the way they wanted to. 6-6. I can't speak for Kansas. I know they had a hot start, an undefeated start there, like 4-0 or 5-0 or something like that. And then Jalen Daniels got hurt in October, November. For Arkansas, they had a rough stretch after starting kind of hot. A lot of us expected that. The back half of that schedule was really, really tough. I know Hogs fans wanted a little bit more. Can't fault them there, 4 losses by 3 points or fewer. It's not the way you want to end the season, especially with a loss to Missouri. But brighter days are ahead for both teams, I believe. Quick look at the Liberty Bowl. This is one of the oldest non-New Year's Six bowls. Little history lesson, never hurt nobody, right? It was first played in 1959 in the city of Philly, home of the Liberty Bell. It was the first cold weather bowl of the time. And as you might expect, attendance was pretty poor for about 4 years until 1964, at which point a group of Atlantic City businessmen convinced the bowl's founder, Bud Dudley. Fun name to say, by the way, Bud Dudley. They convinced him to move the game to Atlantic City's Convention Hall, I think it's currently known as Boardwalk Hall. And this made it the first Division I bowl game to be played indoors. Now, here's the thing. AstroTurf was still in development. It wasn't able to be used for this game. Instead, what they did was they put down 2 inches of burlap, not a joke, burlap, on the concrete floor for padding, and then on top of that laid 4 inches of natural grass turf. Because it was natural grass, artificial lighting had to be installed and kept on for 24 hours a day just to keep the grass growing. So after all of the effort and expenses, the game hosted just over 6,000 attendees, which was like a fifth of the number of people who were coming and seeing it when it was in Philly, even outdoors. And Dudley made just $10,000 net profit. So the next year in 1965, he moves the game to Memphis Memorial Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee. The venue was eventually renamed to Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium in 1975, and the Liberty Bowl has been played there ever since. So this will mark Kansas's second appearance in the Liberty Bowl. Their last was in 1973, which was a loss to NC State. So the Jayhawks have a 0-1 record in the Liberty Bowl, while Arkansas holds the record for the most all-time Liberty Bowl appearances by any team from any conference. This will be their 6th appearance. The Razorbacks have a 2-3 all-time record in the Liberty Bowl. Guys, that's your history lesson. Let's look at the stats. And as always, I like to kick it off with offense, especially in this game with these two quarterbacks. Some fun stuff to get into here. Arkansas, the number 50 scoring offense, 30.7 points per game on 453 total yards. So they're a yardage team, not the most efficient offense as you might configure. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you've got the nice infographic. If you're listening in audio form and you would like to see the infographic, please go to the episode description and click on the link to the episode article. It'll take you to my website, secrecap.com. The articles page, you click that link, it'll open it up in my Medium page, and you'll have these nice infographics to follow along if you're a visual person. I just love to do this for free for you guys. Arkansas, the number 65 passing offense in terms of yards, but the number 9 rushing offense, that top 10 rushing attack featuring KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders. Let's flip it on over to Kansas, number 27 scoring offense in the country, 34.2 points per game on 424 total yards. So a more efficient offense. I love this, though. One of these stats that just makes me love this matchup even more. Kansas Jayhawks, the number 64 passing offense versus Arkansas, the number 65 passing offense. Love it. Kansas also a pretty good rushing attack. Number 33 overall, 194 rushing yards per game, 27 rushing tutties on the season. I know a lot of these stats match up pretty well, especially the passing game. Both teams have a good rushing attack, but because of Kansas's efficiency, I'm going to give a slight edge. It's really neutral, but I'll say I lean Kansas for the offensive advantage. Let's take a peek at the defense. Arkansas Razorback. Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're probably like, whoa, that's a change. We have the number 90 scoring defense and the number 119 scoring defenses. So stark contrast to what these teams do offensively, right? So Arkansas, number 90, they allow 28.8 points per game, 453 total yards. They give up a ton of yards. They have the number 118th ranked passing defense. That's barely worth calling a passing defense. And the number 104th ranked rushing defense at giving up 180 rushing yards a game. They are -1 in the turnover margin. A peek at Kansas here, 33.8 points per game allowed on 451 total yards. So both of these teams give up around 450 yards. Kansas, number 104 passing defense, the number 115th rushing defense. So not a lot of complimentary football being played here on these two teams. Kansas, however, +4 in the turnover margin. Again, pretty neutral. But if I'm going to give the advantage one way or the other, I'm going to say it's neutral, lean Arkansas. So offensively, I lean Kansas. Defensively, it's not saying much, but I lean Arkansas. So before we get into like the keys to the game and the key players, let's take a peek at injuries, opt-outs, and transfers. First for Arkansas, Jaden Hazelwood, wide receiver, he's declared for the NFL draft. Drew Sanders, linebacker, arguably the best player on their defense, at linebacker, has declared for the NFL draft. Miles Slusher, defensive back, he's hit the transfer portal. He's had some issues off the field as well. Malik Hornsby, quarterback. A lot of people shocked to see him go. He's hit the transfer portal. Chase Lowry, defensive back, transfer portal. Bumper Pool, linebacker, hip surgery that kept him out of the last couple of games of the season, I believe, and will keep him out of the bowl game. And then most recently, Trey Knox hitting the transfer portal. So some big losses offensively and defensively for Arkansas. Don't know what that's going to mean for them in the bowl, but we'll try to figure that out here in just a moment. Let's look at Kansas. Stephen McBride, wide receiver, he's hit the transfer portal. Jarrett Paul, safety, he's hit the transfer portal. Now, Stephen McBride on the season, just 2 catches for 23 yards, and Jarrett Paul, just 4 tackles on the season. So depth players there, not a lot of opportunities for them at Kansas. I think they're just looking to see where there are more opportunities for them. Hope those guys find it. Hope they find what they're looking for. And then a weird one, I almost didn't want to mention this one just because it's hard for me to find some updated information. I'm recording this on December 14th. So if you're watching this after that date and some news has been updated in the meantime, don't come at me in my mentions and hate me for getting it wrong. Okay, I'm doing the best I can with the information that I have. But Lawrence Arnold, wide receiver, I found that, he suffered a leg injury versus Kansas State, but I also found injury information from last year that I'm struggling to verify with any injury information from this year. So I've got him listed here on the injury, but I have no idea what that status is or what that means for this game. So if this is out-of-date information, just ignore this, move right along. I'm just trying to include everything I found. All right, let's move on ahead to key players for Arkansas. No surprises here. Quarterback, KJ Jefferson. I've been talking about him since the intro. 66.4% completion rating, 2,300 yards, 22 tutties, just 2 interceptions. Really solid. And running back Rocket Sanders, you can't talk about this top 10 rushing attack without mentioning him. 219 carries, 1,426 yards, second in the SEC, right behind Quinshon Judkins, and 10 tutties. He's top 10 in the FBS in terms of rushing yards. For Kansas, quarterback Jalen Daniels, 65.7% completion rating, 1,470 yards. I know if he hadn't missed some time, that would be higher. 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and I'm going to include Kansas's running back, Devin Neal, very underrated in my opinion. 171 carries, over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. He's a top 30 rusher in the FBS in terms of total yards and yards per game. I think this is going to be even more important when you consider Drew Sanders, declared for the NFL draft, linebacker. Bumper Pool, linebacker, hip surgery, out. They're missing some key pieces on that defense that are critical to stopping the run game. So I like Devin Neal a lot in this matchup. So what I think this game comes down to, some matchup stats here to kind of help you understand, not wrapped up in a narrative form as I've normally done on these. Kansas ranks 7th in the FBS in third down conversion rate. They average 50.4% of third down attempts. Arkansas ranks 27th in third down conversion rate. So third down conversion rate, a strong suit for Kansas, who's a top 10 team in that category. But Arkansas, not bad. Both teams, however, are bad on third down defense. Shocker, right? When I showed you those defensive stats, you'd never guess that these teams would be bad on third down defense, right? Well, Arkansas is 116th in the FBS in third down conversion defense, allowing 44.3% of third down conversion attempts to opponents. Kansas, also very bad at 124th. Arkansas ranks 6th in the FBS in team sacks, averaging 3.25 a game. That's really good. That's an awesome stat. If I'm an Arkansas fan, I'm like, oh, we got them. But Kansas ranks 7th in the FBS in sacks allowed, giving up just 0.75 per game, less than 1 per game. So I love that matchup. Arkansas's strength versus a strength for Kansas. I already said Arkansas's team leader in sacks and total tackles, Drew Sanders, has declared for the draft and will not play. So I would expect to see some drop off there for Arkansas. ESPN's FBI has Arkansas favorite at a 58.2% chance to win versus Kansas at a 41.8% chance to win. The spread favors Arkansas slightly, and this is more coin flippy than favorite, but -3. Anytime it's a field goal or less, to me, that's a coin flip. As does the money line at -160. The over-under is at 69. Nice. At the time of writing, with team totals for Arkansas at 35.7, 35 and a hook, and Kansas at 33.2. Again, if you're watching this after December 14th, this might have updated, so just look at the updated numbers and keep right on moving. Kansas has not been to a bowl game since the 2008 Insight Bowl, but Lance Leopold owns a 4-1 against the spread record in bowl games. I think that matters. Here. I don't think we're going to see a lot of defense in this game. Shocker. Arkansas ranks 90th and Kansas ranks 119th in scoring defense. Also, defensive coordinator Barry Odom has accepted the UNLV head coaching position. I don't think he'll be coaching in this game. If I've got that wrong, again, please ignore. I'm doing the best with the information that I have at the time I'm recording. This one really feels like it's the first team to 40 wins it. Arkansas's a top 10 rushing offense, and I think that should be enough to tip the game in their favor. I like the over, but I also like Lance Leopold's against the spread record to hold in this game. I think Kansas keeps it within a field goal. I think Arkansas edges the Jayhawks out. Give me Arkansas 41, Kansas 38. But guys, I could easily see it going either way. And then that's not just me hedging my bets here. I'm an SEC podcast. Of course, I want to favor the SEC team, but I do like Arkansas's rushing attack, the lack of defense for Kansas in this one. Not a lot of defense on both sides. I think we should see some fireworks from these quarterbacks. I'm super excited to watch this matchup. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. Arkansas 41, Kansas 38. Kansas covers the 3. Lance Leopold gets that, 5-1 against the spread record, but Arkansas gets the W. Guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to the SEC Recap Podcast. Before you go, hit that like button, sub to the channel, share with your friends, and hit that notification bell. Follow us on Twitter. Get notified for the next SEC bowl game previews coming out. Going to have the Gator Bowl, the Texas Bowl, the Music City Bowl, the ReliaQuest Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. They're all coming, okay? So get notified. Don't miss those. I hope to see you back here on the next one. Have a great week, guys, and thanks for listening to the SEC Recap Podcast.